Hey, out there in education land. I just listened to something from our state agency having to do with education and returning to our classrooms in this COVID-19 era. And I thought I'd share one or two thoughts about that. There's a lot of talk about autonomy and teacher support. I would personally translate that as you're on your own, figure it out, do what's best for you in your particular situation. Now, for those of us that really enjoy having very, very, rigid, linear ways of doing things, this has got to be a little bit frustrating. This is hard. It's already hard without guidance. With guidance and without guidance, it might seem even harder. But I think this is a great time for reflective opportunity. And what I mean by that is this. In the early 1900s and 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, there was the kind of quasi-educational departments of states and the federal government going on at the time. And there was a huge amount of autonomy. For instance, let's say there is a school in a black neighborhood. The parent-teacher organization were the ultimate arbiters of who got to teach there, who got to be a principal there. If that person was deemed to be helpful for the community, they got to teach there. If they were deemed hurtful to the community, they were asked to leave and serve kids somewhere else. And it was that kind of hands-off autonomy that allowed for many communities to build into their educational program anti-schooling policies. And let me be very clear what I mean by that. Schooling is reproductive. If schooling wasn't reproductive, it probably in the modern day wouldn't be allowed to occur at all. Schooling is about reproducing and reproducing society in a way that is predictable. And this isn't necessarily good, it isn't necessarily bad. There has to be a certain amount of stability in a civilization, otherwise it completely isn't a civilization anymore. Well, the autonomy, the quasi-autonomy of these individual schools and individual school districts ended up resulting in something we today call the civil rights era. A time where there was a lot of conflict and a lot of challenges, but at the end of it, we had a more just, verdant, and equitable world. So the perceived lack of guidance we can see as problematic, and it is, because what it does is instead of the work happening at the top, the work is going to have to happen in the trenches. We are the troops on the ground, the people who are going to be engaging these kids. And so while we typically don't really start ramping up until the second half of July, I would argue that anybody in any school district anywhere in America, if this is the approach here in my state of New Mexico, that is copied throughout the land, throughout all the 50 states and the District of Columbia, 51st soon, then I think we have a great opportunity to be able to reinvigorate our schools by and for and of the people. I think we have an opportunity with this autonomy to focus on the well-being of kids and communities and still, of course, use curriculum. I mean, ultimately, we don't teach curriculum, we teach kids. And so the autonomy of the moment, or maybe lack of capacity at the moment for higher-ups to delineate exactly what we're going to do and exactly how we're going to do it, can be seen as problematic, and then we complain and nothing moves forward. Or we can see it as an opportunity, as an opening up of landscapes for additional growth. I, for one, am looking forward to the autonomy, to the community, to the common unity that could come as a result of this. If we are truly in this to serve the kids, then we have to start by teaching them first and the curriculum second. Such autonomy, again, maybe due to decreased capacity at the top, I don't know. Personally, I'd like to take this as the greatest possibility for our future. Hope you join me. The water's fine.